And I honestly think that the NFL should take a play out of the Jameis Winston book and get some freaking LASIK for these refs so they can see these plays, because they can't see 2 feet in front of their face.
God.
Oof.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beardzone Sports Talk. My name is David. I got Carlos. I got Scooter with me tonight. And, fellas, we missed last week, so sorry for all you fans out there. We dropped the ball last week. Life happens, but we're back at it. And fellas, we got some stuff to talk about, because you want to talk about a week that was just filled with headlines. It was this week in the NFL. And we're just going to kick it right off. Actually, before we do that, I'm getting ahead of myself. Do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, because that is the best way to support us this NFL offseason as we continue to grow. Fellas, I can't get over this. If you are the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, you don't get tired. You don't get that luxury of getting tired and taking yourself out of the game on a third down when you have yet to play a full season. You had almost no time in college to play. You get drafted in the first round. And you honestly get drafted to a very good organization with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm talking about Anthony Richardson. I mean, you had Peyton Manning. You had, Andrew Luck. Like, this organization does their players good, right? They always do right by their players. And you get picked to be the next leader of this organization, and you're tapping your helmet. It's not a good look. There's no way, as a football player, like the sideline, like your teammates are seeing you do that. And then they're seeing you go to the sideline, and you're not getting checked out. You're not going to the tent. You're not doing anything. You're just getting some water. Like, what about your offensive line who are out there? Yeah, we get it. You ran a lot. But you can't do that, Richardson. And how do you move forward from this? I don't know how you move forward from this, and it doesn't look like they're going to move forward with him, because Joe Flacco is now the starter for the Indianapolis Colts. So have we seen the last of Anthony Richardson? And if so, I mean, good riddance, I guess.
Absolutely. I think Richardson should quit football and just go work at a used car dealership. There's no way that you are a leader in any professional capacity and just take a sit for one play because you're, quote, tired. That is the dumbest thing I've seen in any form of leadership in a very long time. And I tell you what, if I were the Colts organization, Jim Irsay, I would find a way to get out of his contract and just divest him as best possible. That is not what you need in your organization. Get the guy off the couch and the Santa beard Joe Flacco to go win you like 5 more games to at least be relevant in your division, let alone your conference. Anthony Richardson hasn't played a full season and has a 44.4% completion percentage of all qualified quarterbacks. That is the worst in 20 years. Get rid of the guy. He sucks. He's a complete waste of a draft pick. Sorry, Colts. Y'all messed up on this one. That is worse than Tim Tebow, and it's worse than Jamarcus Russell. So put that into perspective. And he quit on you. That is the thing. He quit on you. If you were an employer and you saw somebody quit, would you rehire them? No. I'd say get the hell out. Go find another job.
And the thing about
you'll see him selling used cars. Guaranteed.
What makes it worse is that it was in a divisional game. They could have been on top of the AFC South. They could have been on top of the AFC South if they won that game. The Texans and Colts were battling for first place division, and your quarterback does that. I don't get it. Nothing about it makes sense. I don't think anybody was expecting that answer, especially with all of the reactions, especially Pat McAfee. I mean, Pat McAfee has gone to bat for Anthony Richardson up and down because he's an Indianapolis guy, right? He even was just like, there's no excuse. There is literally no excuse for that. And I mean,
put this,
Carlos, you were right. You were right, Carlos. This guy, he sucks, man. He's not worth a damn. And I hate to say that, right? As a human, I'm sure he's a great dude, but as a quarterback, no, you can't do that.
Hear me out. I'm a guy who likes to look at the bright side. That helmet tap could go down this year as an iconic part of the season for the Colts, where he just might have made them a playoff contender because now Flacco's in. So now you got a quarterback playing. This could go down as a pivotal. Maybe it was a motivational thing. He's like, Kirk Schilling with the Red Sox in the World Series. Maybe it's just one of those things. He tapped his guy in, and now the guy's a real piece of what, like third down, and you tap yourself out. Oh, dude, you do whatever. The adrenaline has to be running high at that point to win. That just inner part of you that just like I won't be tired for when that ball snapped to the whistle. Like it just doesn't happen. And as a quarterback, if he was tired, he should have still hiked the ball and passed out, because that's the only way you come off that field on there. But he's done. I mean, like I say, in a weird way, it could save the Indiana Colts season because they weren't going anywhere with him in there. So you get Flacco in now and see what he can do, man. I mean, look what he did with the Browns last year. So, and he's got a good team. He's got Pittman, Downs, Jonathan Taylor, decent offensive line. But I think you're right. I think at this point you start looking, if you're the Colts organization, how do you, one, get him the full package of the David Goggins way of life and just have him listen to David Goggins all day, or trade him, just, hey, maybe a fresh start somewhere else. Because when you quit on your team, you're right. You can't come back from that. Well, like, you just can't.
But how do you even come back from that if you move forward with going, if you're the owner or if you're a GM of an NFL team and your team is in need of a quarterback, and you think of Anthony Richardson, one, everyone says that he has talent, but no one's been able to see it. He's not been out there long enough, from college all the way to the NFL. That was the biggest thing coming out of college, is that he doesn't have a lot of playing time. And then when he gets to the NFL, he's still not getting a lot of playing time because he can't stay healthy. And now he does this to kind of add things, on top of that. Carlos, from a Miami's fan, Tua had a concussion like 3 times over in a game and was like, I'm so good. Tua, you're walking towards the wrong sideline. And he's like, I'm okay, though. And he still doesn't wear the Guardian helmet. Like, Baker, a few weeks ago against the Saints, got pulled out of the game because they wanted to check him for, I think, a concussion, because they pulled him out. And we ended up going for it on 4th down, and Baker saw that, turned, put his helmet back on, ignored the advice of the medical and all the coaching staff, went out there, and then got the first down for the Bucs. And then he was seen running down the field, putting up a block. Like, this is the kind of competitors that you want for your organization. And this is why these quarterbacks have found success in the NFL. I mean, could you imagine if Tom Brady did this? You would never see Tom Brady do this. You would never see Patrick Mahomes do this. Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning. None of these guys would ever do this. So, you know what, Carlos? You're right. It was good for the Colts. They got Joe Flacco. They'll be able to win some games. And maybe they can get to the playoffs. Who knows what Joe Flacco can do? Can we see another miracle run for Joe Flacco coming off the couch? I wonder how tired he was. But my goodness, man. You can't do that for your team. So, Scooter, I know that you got a lot more rant in you, so let's just move on to the next subject. What's going on with the refs? I mean, what's going on? You have to start. Okay. There's just so many times during a game on Sunday. It's like every Sunday, there's not just one controversial call. There's multiple. And it usually revolves around the same teams, around the same ref staffs and everything. It's all. I mean, I know that we're over a week late, but we missed last week. But how the hell do you miss that face mask in the end zone with the guy 3 feet in front of you? And I'm referring to Sam Darnold when he gets his face ripped off or his helmet ripped off by the Rams defender, and they're like, "Oh, safety." Are you kidding me? And then the Bucks game this last week. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. Maybe. But if you're an Atlanta fan, go screw yourself because you know damn well that that was not a touchdown by Kyle Pitts. Antoine Winfield did what he does, and he punched the ball out right there at the goal line. There's no, and we can't get a pylon shot. When have we ever not had a pylon shot on the goal line for a touchdown? It does not make any sense. You got guys with the Saints, the dirty ass Saints, doing alligator rolls and death rolls on freaking quarterbacks' legs out there with Justin Herbert and stuff like that. And then you have Princess Mahomes who gets blown on the wrong way, and five flags go going. So, Scooter, I know that you have a lot in you. I've already said my piece. This is, we're done with it. Refs cannot continue to control the narratives of these games. Let the guys freaking play the game. I'm done with it. I'm done with the bad calls. I'm done with hearing, "Oh, we made the mistake and we should have called this or we shouldn't have called this." You lost the game. And at this point of the season, these are pivotal games for some of these. Think about Minnesota losing to the Rams last Thursday. Like, they're battling in a very uber competitive NFC North right now. No team is bad in the NFC North, and the Vikings were competing for top spot. I mean, all of these teams are going to be battling for playoffs, and that one game might cost them. That one bad call, that because you did not see a guy's helmet go sideways 3 feet from you, it pisses me off. Scooter, I know it pisses you off, so you have the floor.
I don't even know where to start. The refereeing this season, I didn't think it could get any worse than like the past 2 seasons, and I feel like we've beat this dead horse, and I will continue to kick it while it's down. The refs are effing trash. They're outrageously inconsistent with the blatant penalties, as you already stated, 3 feet from their face, and you just can't see it. I don't know where it's at. I don't. There's a lot of things that we can do in replay. We can look at that, and I honestly think that the NFL should take a play out of the Jameis Winston book and get some freaking LASIK for these refs so they can see these plays, because they can't see 2 feet in front of their face. They can look ripped as hell as, ripped, shredded Santa Claus on the field, but they can't sit there and view plays and call them appropriately. And yes, we have the next Tom Brady flags and all that stuff with Patrick Mahomes. He gets the favorited stuff. We got it. Now, with that play, could the defensive player have led up a little bit better? I don't know, probably. Did Mahomes flop a little bit? Probably. But, the alligator death roll thing on Herbert, and then you flagged the offensive lineman, and he had no remorse for that. Kudos to the Chargers organization for running something, appropriately. And Sam Darnold, if I was Kevin O'Connell during that game, I would have been ejected. 100% ejected. Same thing. And Todd Bowles needs to show some attitude, because that was garbage. How do you not have there have been pylon cameras for 15 years, and we can't seem to find it in a divisional game? Come on, man. Like, Pat McAfee said it correctly, I think, in the beginning of this year or sometime at point last year. The NFL needs to pay the refs full-time, as if they are truly full-time employees. They need to go to a course. They need to go through some retraining, especially if you're the guy on national television ruining a game in front of millions of viewers and ruining potentially billions of dollars. Could you have imagined if that face mask was in the Super Bowl or like the NFC or AFC Championship game? It would have been insane. We would have never heard the end of it. Oh, Patrick Mahomes got a face mask to not called on him. Oh my God. Like, we want to talk about rewriting rules for stupid things. Let's have some replay for non-call penalties. Like, again, we can revisit this with the whole Rams and Saints no PI call. Like, The egregious, blatant, whatever word you want to use for it, the refs have got to get better training and some LASIK surgery because they are freaking blind. There's no way. Like, yes, there's holding on every single play. I got that. But, like, those were blatant. Same thing with the Super Bowl with holding against Bosa in the last drive. Very blatant, choking him across the field. Like, come on, man. You're going to fine dudes for not wearing socks like Tyreek Hill, but you're not going to fine the ref for just not missing that? There's no penalty for the refs. Make it hurt. Then they might correct themselves. But yeah, I could rant about this for the next hour or so. So I don't know if Carlos has got any 2 cents on this, but I am very close to dropping some very profane words.
I don't know if I can follow this. I'm probably the one weirdo when it comes to referees. It's hard because it's in every sport. The refs always make a bad call that can sway a game one way or the other. I'm just the guy who don't put your team in that position to where that call makes or breaks you. So but they are getting rough. Like, especially when they're on their quarterback. Those are the ones that get me. If it's on a wide receiver, running back, those I'm like, eh. But when your quarterback with Darnold, and I can see where they said where the ref was a little out of position. It looks like he grabbed his shoulder because he really only had a couple fingers in the face mask. But you can obviously see his head turn with the shoulder. So, and the Justin Herbert one gets me more than anything. I mean, the ball is gone. The ref has nothing else to do but look to make sure there's no what do you call it? Personal fouls on the quarterback for roughing the passer. And he's got a guy down there literally doing a USC takedown on Herbert's leg, like trying to hurt him. So those are ones when those get missed. I'm like, how do you miss that? Because the league is built on protecting the quarterback. It's their number one thing. So those are frustrating. It'll be a topic forever. Best case scenario is just as a team, hopefully you get one, they get one. But you would think that the NFL could give one challenge flag or something. I mean, you can't add more refs because if you add more refs, there's going to be flags everywhere. Like the Monday night game a couple weeks ago, where they were just throwing a flag every play. So you can't add another ref. If not, the game will get slowed down to 5 hours and we'll hate football. But there's got to be something somewhere where a challenge flag could come in, or I don't know. Maybe they just call it the penalty flag. You get one flag to throw that you think and it can't be a holding on the defensive end. It's got to be something like the face mask, pass interference call that's just blatantly missed, or some kind of roughing the passer. But you got to narrow it down. But they do have to do something. I mean, it does suck because for that Minnesota game, that's a big turnaround. I mean, you got 15 yards of moving down the field. They probably go down the field and score. So, but it'll be a topic of conversation forever. But let me play devil advocate here. When you guys had Tom Brady in Tampa, you were the beneficiary of all those ticky-tack Mahomes calls. So just remember the Brady days.
I mean,
Yeah, well, now we're
there's
in the
one I
Baker
could
days and
recall.
we're getting screwed. So give me Brady again.
Brady, Baker are not the same thing.
No.
The NFL is going to take care of its spokespeople. Mahomes is not going to, unless he gets a weird injury, he will always be protected by, even if the wind is too strong, they'll throw a flag on the wind. So he's protected.
I just, I get what you're saying, Carlos. The poster boys are always going to be the poster boys, and no matter what professional sporting world you go into, you're always going to have those people that do have the more favorable matchups. Hell, we see it in the corporate America. We see people who are the poster childs of companies, and they get the promotions, and they get the slap on the wrist for some HR red flags. So I get it, right? My biggest thing is when it comes down to missed calls like the face mask, missed calls like the Justin Herbert, where the guy, I mean, What would have happened if that Saints player was successful in hurting Justin?
So I on the field, it would
Yeah,
have been
I mean, it would have been
bad.
bad. I mean, you want to talk about? I mean, I know it's in two different arenas, but I mean, Malice in the Palace again. I mean, holy crap, man! I mean, that would have been insane. And what would have been the penalty? Well, what would have been the penalty? I mean, of course, the player would get, but I like what you said, Scooter. There has to be some sort of penalty for the refs. They have to be able to, because there's no accountability for them, and I think that that's the issue. When there's no accountability and there's nothing to say, hey, we have to do better outside of hey, we need to do better and we missed the call. It's like, okay, well, how about you penalize these guys? Because I mean, you want to penalize everyone else, penalize these guys for making bad calls. So then that way they can correct it and it hurts them a little bit. So then that way they hopefully clean it up a little bit. So we can go on and on about this. I know we can. I know it's a topic of discussion everywhere. So we're not going to, continue to drag it out. We've been quiet though this whole season, and I think me and Scooter, both were coming into this episode ready to let words fly. So, nothing makes me happier than what happened the other day in our group chat. And that is when the Chicago Bears and the Washington Commanders were playing each other. And we have Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels playing against each other. And I'm outside, right? So I'm watching the game on my phone. I'm outside. I'm having a cigar. And my neighbor ends up coming out. And I end up talking to my neighbor. So I stop watching the game. And I'm trying to, watch little highlights get popped up because I do have a couple of fantasy guys. And all I see is Carlos text message comes in. Caleb gets the win over Jaden. And I'm like, oh man. So I go and I check. And as I go and check, Commanders players are rushing the field. And I see Commanders are actually winning. And it's because of the Hail Mary by Jaden Daniels. The thing that makes it even more beautiful about all of that is the instant karma that defender got for mocking the fans as he was back there in the backfield. And then he was the one that ended up tipping the ball. So then that way Noah Brown can catch the game-winning pass. It was a great game. It was a great battle, but I had to just put that out there because that was a beautiful moment in our group chat. Nothing made me happier than that.
You know what it makes even worse for me? That NFL defender is Tyreek Stevenson, graduate of the University of Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It gets better.
And his only job was to box out the back receiver, and he didn't do it. And I'm just thinking, man, thank God we beat FSU.
Oh, man. It was a beautiful moment.
I know you were like, oh, Caleb Williams is going to get the win. He's so good. Dude had 38 yards passing to like the mid-third quarter. He still sucks. I don't care. And the Bears deserve everything that they get for just having awful coaching and awful self-awareness. Jaden Daniels is going to end up going down as Rookie of the Year. And that was instant karma, Dave. You hit it on the head. When you go and you show, but I don't care what team you are, unless you're the Titans right now, because you just suck beyond any feasible imagination. If you give any player, team, you're at the 50-yard line on top of that, and he scrambled for 13 seconds, dropped back like an additional 30 yards, and still launched it into the end zone, and you are the one guy who was showboating and doing this whole spectacle thing and basically talking smack to the fans, which I don't know why you're doing that when the game is not over. Like,
well, it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, like he. Oh my gosh, I don't know how you do that. Like, and there's still a shot. They weren't on like the 10-yard, their own 10-yard line. They got to do like the multilateral thing to get across the field. You are in a striking distance with a guy who has had great accuracy with a deep ball and does not turn the ball over very well or very often. So I know Stevenson is a very good cornerback, but you also showboated and you did the little cherry on top by tapping the ball, tipping it to the opposing team. Like, I don't know if he's your star quarterback or not, cornerback or not, but like, I would bench him, make him run sprints. I don't care. That's a very childish move in a professional sport, man. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
but we're the beneficiaries of that now, Scooter. So I mean,
oh yeah, put
let's
the
just
clown
soak it
nose
in.
on Stevenson for sure.
Let's
Cue the
just soak
music.
it in right here. So, but all right, let's move forward. I wanted to talk about, because I want to know what's going on with the Jets. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but they can't get a win to save their life. Doesn't matter if they have Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, and a top defense. They still can't make things happen. So, not too sure what's going on there. Does Aaron Rodgers retire after this year? I mean, he might. Does he go out like this, or does he try and come back one more year and make it happen?
I mean, ironically enough, they don't have a top defense comparatively. In the top 10, they weren't as good as they were last year. Aaron Rodgers should probably retire. He's too busy eating gummy bears or shrooms or whatever. Can't seem to connect with the wide receivers that aren't named Devontae Adams. Like, Bryce Hall. Like, I don't understand how you can have such a talented roster of individuals and not win or barely score 21 points. Rodgers, I don't know if he has that that zing off the ball. He's still very accurate, but I don't think they're there. They just seem very sloppy and discombobulated, all whatever word you want to use. They're just not in sync at all. And you canned your head coach.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's really no other answer, but other than they just suck. I mean, they do. They completely and utterly suck. So, and they have a tough team to go up against with the Texans on a short week this Thursday night. So interesting. Let's get into a couple of games though here really quick before we get into our game day picks of the week. So honestly, it was kind of hard to pick a few, but we were able to kind of find some. So let's go ahead and go down this list. The Cowboys and the Falcons are playing each other this week, and the Cowboys are not having the year that anybody thought that they were going to be having, and the Falcons are having the year that people thought that they were going to have. They've started to come together. They had a little bit of a shaky start, but the Falcons are really starting to roll, and they're a good team, man. That offensive line is really good. They're keeping Kirk Cousins protected very well, and he's starting to get into the groove with all of his wide receivers. Kyle Pitts, anybody, who hung on to him for fantasy, shout out to you for staying loyal because you're finally starting to reap a little bit of benefits. And then the defense. I mean, the defense with Jesse Bates back there. I mean, Terrell. I mean, they're good. They're a good secondary. So they're going to be a good team. They're a tough team. Cowboys, on the other hand, Dak and CD got the bag, and although CD had a pretty good week last week, this past week against the 49ers, I mean, my goodness, man, like what is going on with this team? Is their season over? And if it's not, this is definitely the week that they have to turn it around, I feel.
Yeah, they're in a must-win for sure. I mean, to go 3-5, but I mean, you saw a little spark in Dak and CD, what we saw last year. I mean, CD had a really good game with like 13 catches, couple touchdowns, like $140 something last week. So, I mean, against the 49ers, they're always known for defense. But Atlanta, man, they're gelling, man. They're what we thought. I think a lot of people thought they were going to be with Cousins. And Cousins making Kyle Pitts look like a freaking number one, and Drake London's benefit off of that as well. But the Cowboys really messed up with the negotiations. Jerry Jones just doing Jerry Jones things, and Derrick Henry should be in that that backfield with them, and these guys should probably be like with 2 losses, maybe 1. They should be way better. And then losing Micah Parsons kills the defense. So now they got some injury bug. I don't know. I know one thing: if Atlanta wins this, they're going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's injuries on the defensive side and their lack of run game for the Cowboys, man. I don't know. Again, with the Jared Jones thing, you just basically handed to your star athletes money and just called it a day. Dak is probably not the guy. Like, I think the fan base is very 50-50 on this, but I don't know if Dak Prescott is your quarterback of the future. Granted, you have Cooper Rush, and then you think you have Trey Lance, but whatever. But at the end of it, though, it's still coaching because you were still somewhat in the game against the 49ers. Like you said, does Mike McCarthy get fired? I've never seen the high of one Super Bowl win last this long with this lack of repeating NFC championships and stuff like that. I don't know. I know Cowboys historically just don't fire and rehire coaches like they're the Jets or Browns, But there's something to say about the Falcons. They're doing something right with radio at the helm. I don't know how Raheem Morris has figured out how to win other than Kirk Cousins is a robot and just seems to put up 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns against every single time he plays the Bucks. It's clear to me that the Falcons have a similar issue on offense, though. They haven't been able to click on the run game. Like, I think the longest run was by Kirk Cousins at 13 yards. That's kind of strange to hear or see, for that matter. Their defense is pretty locked down right now in their secondary. They could probably use a little bit of pressure off the edge. But yeah, Carlos, like you said, if they win against the Cowboys, they're kind of on a roll there. Like they're
definitely. And I think that they're the favorite in this game. I mean, I have them picking. I mean, not to spoil anything for our picks earlier, but I mean,
get my pick now.
Yeah, I mean, right there you go. But you know what's crazy is that, dude, take someone from the year 2018 or 2019 and show them the Dallas Cowboys backfield with Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook, and they're like, oh my god, like this is the best backfield in the league right now. It's like, but
2 yards per carry.
These guys are just not doing it back there. These guys are past their prime, and it is definitely showing. So, must-win game for the Cowboys. Cowboys fans, hey, don't worry. Next year, y'all got this. Let's move on to a game that a lot of people might be overlooking. I'm not overlooking it, and I know Carlos isn't looking over this, so I kind of want to see what Carlos has to say on this game first. Broncos and Ravens. Broncos, they're looking good with Bo Nix. They're not a team that you can sleep on by any means. Ravens just lost to the Browns, with Jameis Winston. They went up against a top defense, and they ended up losing against the Browns in a surprise upset. I don't think anybody would have picked the Browns over the Ravens last week. I know I didn't. And so what do you see in this game, and do we see another upset coming this week for the Ravens?
I mean, that Broncos defense is fantastic, man. Surtain is balling out. Just every aspect of their defense is killing. That's why they're the number one defense. It'll be interesting to see what Lamar does against them. Like, Lamar's having an MVP year. I mean, he's got 17 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. He's running the ball. Derrick Henry is, I guess somebody forgot to tell him he's 30. Somebody might want to remind him he's 30 years old. Zay Flowers, now they get Deontay Johnson. We'll see Deontay, but that just adds another safety valve for, another good receiver, because Bateman is kind of more of their deep threat. And then you get Mark Andrews, and Isaiah Likely's even cooled off. So, I mean, he's got weapons galore, man. That offense is looking scary. But that Broncos defense is even scarier, man. It's going to be interesting. And Bo Nix does not care. He's this guy, man. He's got that grit, and it's good to see. He's yelling at Sean Payton. And you talked about it earlier. You got to be a quarterback that'll get in Payton's face, and he's doing it, man. He He just does not care. He's going out there. He's getting better at passing. The running's there. That defense will keep him in good field position and give him some chances. So, going to be a very interesting game. I'm hoping Lamar has a baller game because he's my fantasy quarterback. So, I'm thinking, and it's going to be hard to slow him down. But they could make it very hard for him, especially with his throwing. If the Ravens win this, I think Lamar has a 100-yard game on the ground. I don't know if Henry will have it, but I see a lot of that old school Lamar magic with him running around.
When we discussed the games, y'all dropped this one in there, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have any notes. And something just dawned on me. Derrick Henry has busted out multiple 20-yard plus runs this season, like he's going for his MVP status again. And he's like 250 pounds or something at like 6'6", and he's running at like 21 miles per hour. Like it's insane. And then you got Lamar. If you're the Broncos, you can kind of capitalize on the fact that if you force Lamar to throw, you have the DBs and the pressure to get a turnover. If you are forced to eat the run game like John Harbaugh wants you to do, you're going to have a rough time. You just are. Like, as we've seen, the one thing that the Ravens need to kind of work on, and we're talking about defense, right, is they are, I think, the worst or second to worst team against the pass. Bo Nix is not putting up lightning crazy numbers and 4 touchdowns, 300+ yards, but who knows? It could happen. You got Sean Payton as your head coach, and they are giving each other the business. Like you said, they had their spouts like they were father and son out there arguing. It was actually kind of entertaining. But the Broncos organization has completely shifted in their output from the past 2 years with Russell Wilson to with Bo Nix behind the helm, and arguably similar play with the whole scrambling and chucking it down the field. I think the Ravens are kind of favored, though. If you look at the stats and how the coaches are, I don't know how many times John Harbaugh has lost consecutive weeks. I think there's a stat somewhere between him and Mike Tomlin or Bill Belichick as well, about seasons with multiple losses, consecutive losses. It's very rare in their category. It might be a tight game. It really, if you got Justin Tucker's your kicker though too, so McManus.
I think it's going to be a lot closer game than people might realize. But then again, Carlos, with all the weapons that the Ravens have, they are the team that you'll look at this and be like, man, this could be a really tight game, and then they'll just put up 40 points on the Broncos, just out of nowhere, just because they're just clicking on all cylinders. So it should be a really good game. I'm excited. I actually really like Bo Nix. I wasn't sure how well it was going to be because it's hard to have Sean Payton as your head coach. Like, it's just hard. Unless if your name is Drew Brees. It's just hard. So, but Bo Nix is doing his thing. He's not putting up Rookie of the Year numbers, but who cares? I don't think anybody in Broncos organization cares because they're getting wins and they're, 5-3 right now, sitting in the middle of the season, and they'll take that any day of the week, especially with how much money they've just spent on Russell Wilson this year. So, but let's move on to another game where we talked about this quarterback earlier, and he took himself out of the game. Now he's getting benched by the team, and that's the Indianapolis Colts versus the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota had a heartbreaking loss. Seriously, a heartbreaking loss a couple weeks ago against the Rams. And now they go up against the Colts, and if you're going up against an Anthony Richardson Colts, you're feeling pretty good. But you're not. You're going up against Joe Flacco Colts. And don't sleep on Joe. Don't sleep on Joe. The entire AFC North did last year, and they ended up, catching one in the face. So Joe Flacco is the starting quarterback now for the Indianapolis Colts. Minnesota is they're sitting at 5-2. They're still battling for what seems to be an impossible race in the NFC North right now. I mean, just flip a coin, it seems like. But what are some can Sam Darnold get this win? Can he get the boys back on track? And if not, do we see the Minnesota Vikings start to kind of do a tailspin?
I don't know about tailspin. The Colts, to me, don't seem to be very consistent on defense. I know they've held a couple tight games, but switching from Richardson to Flacco absolutely was the answer. I know we had that conversation earlier, and Carlos, you hit on the head. It probably did them a favor. Steichen knows how to win. He knows how to get the offense moving. I just don't know if they can stop it on defense. Like you said, the Vikings, you still got Justin Jefferson and everything. Their defense is very good too. They're still in the top 5 on defense, and especially with turnover differentials. I don't see how the Vikings have been playing to lose 2 consecutive weeks. I know it's close, the whole penalty thing. There was a couple turnovers by Darnold. I got that, and he's been showing that he's not as turnover happy as he was with the Jets and Carolina. And he never really had a shot with the 49ers. So what we're seeing with Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold is that QB head coach matchup, like the Sean Payton and Bo Nix and so forth, and like Mike Tomlin and Russell Wilson right now are clicking too. So I believe they're playing in Minnesota as well. I don't think the Vikings lose this week, even though there is a significant change for the Colts. You still have the locker room issues and the culture of what you just allowed to happen on the field. So there's a lot of prove it mentality from the Colts organization, from what I can see. But there's also the revenge period for the Vikings. Like, this is potentially your year to rebound from all the craziness and Kirk Cousins injury and everything that happened last year, to rebound from that and to show that Kevin O'Connell is that guy for the Vikings moving forward. I know he's kind of had some rough stints in not making playoff wins and so forth. And he's got to make his stamp, especially NFC North, Dave. You hit it on the head, man. The NFC North is brutal this year and riddled with good teams. Like, yeah, I don't. Unless you're the Bears.
In the NFC North.
Unless you're the Bears. But no one cares about the Bears. So there's that. The Colts, though, have a very good opportunity to turn things around real quick. And I don't know if this is a hot radar game for anyone else, but I would like to hear Carlos's thoughts on it.
It's going to be Joe Flacco is in probably one of the best positions as a quarterback. He's got a team, his quarterback just quit, so he's going to rally them very easily. And I think it's harder for defenses now to scheme them because with AR, you just had to make him throw the ball. So if you could contain his running, he didn't make good decisions throwing the ball. So now you've got a guy who doesn't run, but can make good decisions with the ball. So, and he's got some weapons there that he can deal with. If they can get their run game going, they could squeak this win out on here. But I think it's too big of a game for Minnesota. They got a chance to gain some ground on the Lions or the Packers, one of those two, because one of those has to fall this weekend. And then, I just don't see Kevin O'Connell, and I don't see them losing this one. I think it's going to be a good game, though. I think it'll be better than what it would have been with Richardson in there for sure. So, but Minnesota needs this game. They got to keep up. I mean, they got to keep up with the Lions and the Packers.
Yeah. Speaking of Lions and Packers, we're going to go right into that because that is the fourth game before we get into our game picks of the week. Guys, this is a heavyweight matchup. This truly is. Hopefully Jordan Love is healthy enough to go ahead and play, because I would love to see a fully healthy Packers team go up against a healthy Lions team. But Dan Campbell, this Lions team, they're scary. Like, they're really, really scary. They were really tough last year. I think last year was the Cinderella story, and everyone was, like, yeah, let's go Lions, And but man, this year everyone's like, whoa, like, holy crap. The Lions are legit. This was not a fluke. This was not like anything. They are legit and they are here to stay and they are showing it. And they don't care who you are. They don't care what the score is. They are going to play from the very first whistle to the very last whistle. And if you aren't ready to keep up with that intensity, you'll get left behind very quickly with this team. It's a fun team to watch. They're going to be in Lambeau this week. It's a rivalry game, obviously, with the NFC North. But I'm fearful of anyone in the path of the Lions right now because this team is here to make a point and to
and especially without
themselves.
Anthony Richardson. Like you are, you lose your star defensive end. Not Anthony. Sorry, I got stuck on
Aiden
this guy.
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson.
Yeah.
You lose him. Possibly he's back from the Super Bowl, but and you guys mentioned they lose their left tackle as well. So, man, the Lions it's going to be a good game, and the Packers are still that young team that they don't have the star wide receiver. They just got a group of really good wide receivers. Josh Jacobs is looking like he did it 2 years ago. Freaking that Tyler Croft has come out of nowhere. He's doing his best K. Dot impersonation and killing it as well. So it is going to be a good game. And you got two good offenses, you got two good defenses, and you got a 6-1 and a 6-2 team here, man. It is going to be a good game. I'm with you. I hope Jordan Love with the groin injury is healthy enough to where it doesn't affect him, or he can play through it at least. I would love to see this Goff Love go back and forth, and man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got two teams who can absolutely sling the ball and run it. I think the Lions have scored with everybody except for their second string left tackle. It's just it happens, and Dan Campbell's out to prove something this year for sure, and he did it last year. He's just going to repeat it, like you guys said. Defensively, though, I think is where this game is won. Right, both of the Lions and the Packers are in the top. I think top 5, top 6. Lions, I think, are the second best defense right now. But where I think it comes down to is the defensive points allowed per game. They're in the top 4, both of them. I think it's second and fourth, respectively, for the Lions and Packers. But then they're also second highest for the Lions in turnover differential, and then fourth for the Packers. So you have two offenses that can pretty much score at will, and like you said, they got a scrappy bunch with the Packers. But Goff has been surgical this year. Whether it's Gibbs, a swing pass, St. Brown, Williams, Laporta, and then you got kind of guys who play slightly different. Like Matt LaFleur is a little bit more tactical about things, and he's a little bit more deliberate with his strategies. And then you got Dan Campbell, who's like, punch him in the mouth, punch him repeatedly in the mouth. Oh, he fell down, punch him again in the mouth. Yeah. I don't care if we're up by 40 points, punch him in the mouth. With like 8 pots of coffee in the background. So you have, to me, this game looks more like the survival of the NFC North. Whoever wins is most likely going to take it moving forward.
Yeah, I can see that. And might I add, I don't know if you guys remember, but when we did our awards, and our predictions and our awards, and, we went for the Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, we said our MVPs, and you guys said, I can't remember what you guys said for MVP, but I went on a dark horse, and I had a little speech for the man, Jared Goff, for NFL MVP. And that is exactly what this man is doing right now. He is on an MVP run. And so Jared Goff for MVP. Lions have only lost one game this year, and that one game has come on the, because of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that will be my Super Bowl of the year as a Tampa fan, as I watch our team die the other week on Monday night, and I'm about to watch them die again this Monday night when they take on the Chiefs in Arrowhead. And but let's go ahead and get to our picks of the week. So that is right. It is the game Day picks of the week. Rapid fire segment here where we go down the list of games and we call it like we see it. These are our records down below. We missed last week, but we still counted it last week because we had our picks. So the records will reflect for last week. We're only missing, I think, the first couple weeks because we didn't know what we were doing with ourselves. But we are, and you can feel free to follow us. Leave your record down in the comments. No cheating, okay? Don't be cheating down there in the comments. We know that you haven't gone undefeated. It's not possible. So, but fellas, let's get right into it. We kick it off with Thursday night, Texans, Jets. Big news out of Texans. Stephon Diggs out for the year. Sucks. Nico Collins.
He hasn't done anything this year.
So, well, I mean, it still sucks. So, but Texans, Jets. Who we got?
Texans.
Are we debating on this right now? Is this
I
a
like
real
the
question?
There's a part of me that wants to lean towards the Jets, but I can't pick the Jets. I'm gonna go Texans. So I'm thinking I might regret this.
I'm gonna go Texans as well. So it might be the curse of us all picking the same team. So, but let's move on. We have the Falcons and the Cowboys. Who do we got?
It's not the cowgirl year. It's
Dirty
just not.
Birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Falcons as well. God, man, I hate it when we all pick the same. All right, Ravens, Broncos. Who we got?
Ravens.
Yeah, I got the Ravens too. Scooter.
Yeah, unanimous.
All right, so
I was tempted to switch, but
we all might have a fantastic week, or we all might just suck. Bills, Dolphins, Carlos, Tua's back. Offense is starting to roll. A chain had a good week last week. Now that Tua's back, he slid. There were some small victories last week. Who do you got?
I with the Bills.
Yes. Josh Allen going for MVP stats was only one turnover, man. Let's go Bills.
One turnover, and I got the Bills as well. Saints, Panthers. Who cares, honestly? But who do we got?
Is this a game? Is there an optional bye week?
Is this preseason?
It's preseason. Oh man, who did I got here? I actually have the Panthers. Because you still got Spencer Rattler back there, man.
All right, I like it. You know what? I am going to go with the... I'm going to do the Panthers as well. I'm going to ride with you, Scooter. I got the Panthers.
Andy Dalton.
Screw the Saints, Red Rocket, till we die. Bengals, Raiders, who we got?
Oof.
Both of these teams. What the frick is going on?
Not meeting expectations at all.
Exactly.
It's a
Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals.
You're going to go Bengals?
Raiders can't score, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Hell of a defense.
Silver and black, do it.
You know what? I'm going. You convinced me. You talked me off the ledge. I'm changing my pick. I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Cincinnati Bengals have no defense, so it's the perfect defense to go up against for the Oakland Raiders. And the offense of the Bengals, not that great.
Las Vegas.
Protecting Joe Burrow, and the Raiders know how to get after the quarterback. So I like the matchup. I'm going to go with the underdogs. I'm going to go with the Raiders here. I like it. Let's go Browns, Chargers. Chargers are looking pretty good. Justin Herbert's doing all right. Jim Harbaugh doing his thing there. They're creating an identity. Jameis Winston, Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson's out. Jameis Winston's in. All of the one-liners and everything that come with Jameis Winston. Who do you have for the dog pound?
I know Jameis Winston's an NFL treasure of one-liners, but I got to take the Chargers. There's too much going on with the Browns organization offensively.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Browns. I like the Browns. I like their defense. I think that they'll rock and roll. Let's go Jameis Winston. Commanders, Giants. Commanders. I'll help you guys out.
Yeah, Commanders.
All
I'll
right.
take Commanders.
Commanders.
Okay. I was
Hail
worried
Mary,
there
let's go.
Hey, here's another one for you. Ready? Patriots, Titans.
Did we have another bye week? Is this a bye week game?
I'm going to take the Pats.
Dude, the Titans are such a hot mess. How do you not take the Pats? I'm taking the Pats.
Apparently, it's me. I'm going with the Titans. I like what Mason Rudolph did last week. I think the Titans' defense is pretty good compared to what they have to go up against with freaking the Patriots. Give me the Titans. I like the Titans. Bears, Cardinals. This is actually a pretty good game. This could be a good game.
Kyler Murray's putting up at least 4 touchdowns. I'm taking the Cardinals.
Bears.
Bears. I'm going to rock with Carlos. I got the Caleb Williams and the Bears as well. As much hate as I want to give him, the guy's been doing his thing. Shout out to you, Caleb Williams. I still don't like you, but you're doing your thing. I still don't like...
Oh, my gosh. Y'all, I don't know if you watched the same game last week.
I did watch the same game, but for the entire year, Scooter, I'm talking about. He's
not doing that great, but cool.
Eagles, Jaguars.
Let's. I don't know how it's a contest.
Eagles.
Yeah, I got the Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah.
All right, fellas. Battle of the North. Lions, Packers. What's your final pick?
I'm going with the Lions just because of Jordan Love uncertainty.
I had the Lions without even thinking about it when I wrote it down, and yeah, the questionable Jordan Love thing doesn't help. But I think there's so much momentum riding with Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions as well. Rams, Seahawks. Seahawks had not a great week last week against Buffalo. Rams are kind of starting to piece it together. Puka and Cooper Kupp came back. I was like, holy crap, I got to make some adjustments in one of my fantasy leagues because I didn't know that they were going to be back. So, but who do you got?
I'm going Rams.
Sam, I'm going Rams. Stafford's being very precise now.
Yep, give me the Rams. I like the Rams, especially when they are healthy. Vikings, Colts. Joe Flacco, can he do it? Will he do it?
No. Vikings.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Vikings as well. And to wrap it up, Bucks, Chiefs. Any upsets here?
Oh.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs. And
Chiefs
hopefully
will
they'll
still be undefeated at the end of the week.
I want to pick the Bucks so bad.
Yeah, no, I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
Be true fans and pick the Bucks. Stand by your team.
Todd Bowles doesn't adjust. Damn it. Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs as well. So look at his hair. We got him all flustered. This has been a stressful episode for Scooter, but shout out to you. Shout out to your blood pressure. You're going to need a stiff drink after this one, but it's okay because we'll be back next Friday at 9 a.m. Check us out. And if you guys missed our college episodes, be sure to go back and check out our college episode. That comes out every Wednesday at 9 a.m. So if you are a college fan, you definitely don't want to miss that. But follow us on all of our social medias. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and we are on Instagram. And we love to engage with you guys on all of those platforms. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so that way you don't miss another episode. And until next Friday,
Beardzone out.